Here's more wrestling news for January 31st, 2023, and we're starting off with WrestleMania, and this year's show will be the first since Triple H was appointed both head of creative and head of talent relations, and there's a lot of buzz surrounding the game. In his time in charge, Triple H's reign has seen ratings improve, popular talents be brought back, and more freedom for the roster, so there's a lot of optimism on this road to WrestleMania. When asked by Ryan Satin on the post-Royal Rumble press conference about the upcoming weeks, the game spoke about what makes booking the road to WrestleMania so exciting. The pressure is what makes booking exciting. I think for anybody that's performed in this to a certain level, like if you don't love that pressure, or if you don't live for that pressure, if you don't walk that, then you gotta struggle in this. Triple H's track record when it comes to booking has been established for years, as it was when he was running NXT that show reached its peak in popularity. Now Triple H has a much bigger show and much bigger roster to work with, and the man known as the Cerebral Assassin will be using that big brain to book an exciting road to WrestleMania 39. At the Royal Rumble, Dakota Kai competed in last weekend's Women's Royal Rumble match, entering at the number 9 spot and lasting over 22 minutes. Alongside her Damage Control allies, Kai eliminated 5 women from the match, but don't expect her in the ring for some time. When Kai and Bayley accompanied Io Sky for her Raw match with Candice LeRae, Corey Graves pointed out that Kai suffered an injury during the Women's Royal Rumble match. The Raw commentator didn't elaborate on what kind of injury Kai suffered, but whatever it is, we're wishing the WWE Women's Tag Team Champion a very speedy recovery. More from the Rumble as the show opened with the return of Pat MacAfee, who in addition to being a commentator, has had a handful of matches in WWE. In fact, MacAfee nearly had his latest match last Saturday, as on his show, Pat said that originally the plan was for him to return in the Men's Rumble match, something that he and WWE's higher-ups had agreed last October. However, Pat realized that he was not in good enough shape for the match, so while Pat may one day be one of the 30 to try and earn a WrestleMania match, this year wasn't meant to be for MacAfee. Pat McAfee didn't compete in the Men's Royal Rumble match, but instead watched from ringside as Cody Rhodes won his first match back from injury. The last time Cody wrestled, it was at Hell in a Cell last June, and the American Nightmare told Sean Ross Sapp that he will never watch that match and doesn't look on it fondly. Though fans were blown away by how well Cody did considering his torn pectoral, Rhodes is no fan of what he and Seth Rollins achieved, and the fully healed Rhodes is looking to the future and not his past. Now, when Cody Rhodes returned to WWE last April, it was coming back to a much different company than the one he left in 2016. One name Rhodes didn't work with until returning to WWE is Nick Khan, and there's no shortage of fans who don't like WWE's sole CEO. Speaking to Ariel Helwani this week, Rhodes spoke about his June 2022 torn pectoral and how it was actually Khan and WWE veteran Bruce Prichard who went the extra mile to ensure he was okay. I was embarrassed, I really was. I was on top of my game. All the measurables of, this is working, we're selling this, people are tuning in, I'm doing it. Then I got hurt bench pressing at my gym. Probably a lot of wrestling was involved in that, but I didn't know. I was just embarrassed. I'm really sorry, I am. I didn't want to leave. I had almost a 30-minute match and then had to go get surgery. I was embarrassed. That was one time where I thought, I'm worried now, maybe I don't have it. Everyone has doubts, even the most confident people. Maybe I didn't have it. I'll tell you 2 people that really kept me in check, Nick Khan and Bruce Prichard. I don't know why they have reputations, they've been nothing but angels to me. Nick and Bruce don't see Dusty Rhodes when they see me, they see me. That's big. That's big with me. They kept me on and never told me, you're gonna do this is gonna happen, just get better, get well, we need you back, we're going to go for it. But we never talked about what it was. To be able to come back and punch this ticket, thank God, just have to stay healthy. Cody may have nothing but good things to say about Khan, but many fans don't like him, believing that he will simply do whatever Vince McMahon says he should do. Khan hasn't exactly done himself any favors, saying a couple of years ago that he'll gladly take the blame for mass releases, and more recently saying he applauds Vince for strong-arming his way back to WWE. But for Cody Rhodes, WWE's CEO is okay in his book. When it comes to tough guys in wrestling, the name Bob Holly comes up a lot, as it was his toughness that earned the former Sparky Plug the nickname of Hardcore Holly. Holly is known for being tough, but he is also known for being something of a bully, and Kurt Angle witnessed just how tough the Hardcore One could be. Speaking on his podcast, Angle spoke about the ruthlessness Holly would display and addressed a couple of the times Bob accidentally received a parking ticket when he loaned his car to Rene Dupree. Oh yeah, legit tough guy. Listen, he's a guy that kept the locker room intact. If anybody had any problems, then you had a problem with Bob Holly. Holly returns the car. A few months later, he gets a call from Avis. Hey, you have a parking ticket, you need to pay it. Bob says, when was it? What day? What time? He found out what day and what time, and he realized it was Rene Dupree that did it. So Bob was pissed. He thinks Rene took the ticket off the windshield and ripped it up and threw it on the ground and got in the car. Rather than speak to Dupree and explain the situation, Bob decided to retaliate in the ring, and the real-life beating continued backstage. Rene had a black eye. He was bleeding everywhere. Bob ran him backstage to where we were and beat the shit out of him. We had to break it up, and we're like, Bob, what the hell are you doing? And Bob got fined over it. I mean, this was a big deal. In his book, The Hardcore Truth, Holly was entirely unapologetic over attacking his colleague for real, no matter how much he had to pay in his fine. In 2019, fans got to see Kofi Kingston finally become WWE champion in a heartwarming moment, but his reign on top came crashing down later that year thanks to Brock Lesnar. On the inaugural WWE SmackDown on Fox that October, it took just one F5 and 7 seconds for Lesnar to dethrone Kingston, a decision many fans are still infuriated over to this day. As for Kingston, he's since made peace with the manner in which he lost the title, and while speaking on the Out of Character podcast, said how it's the most money he's made per second in a WWE ring. The F5 from Brock, I think a lot of people were surprised with how quickly it happened, you know? I don't get paid by the hour, so it was the most money I've made in the least amount of time, aside from the Rumble last year. Not only were fans infuriated by the decision, but the match was immediately followed by the debut of Cain Velasquez, a sign to fans that Kofi would not be getting a rematch. Sure enough, Kingston's WWE title reign remains the only time he's held a WWE World Championship, and we can only hope that Kofi was paid well for his loss on the first SmackDown on Fox. In the weeks running up to the Royal Rumble, Michelle McCool said how she had not been asked to appear in the Women's Rumble match, but of course the inaugural Divas Champion did just that. McCool had been sat in the crowd for the show to sell the idea that she wasn't going to compete, but the decision for her to wrestle was a last-minute call. On Twitter, McCool thanked everybody for their support and the fans calling on WWE and Triple H to put her in the match, and said it was only 9 days before the Rumble that she eventually got the call. Despite retiring back in 2011, McCool lasted close to 14 minutes in the match, eliminating both Tamina and Nia Jax in that time, in what was an impressive performance with only days to prepare. And we're ending with Rhea Ripley, the winner of the Women's Royal Rumble match, who is going to challenge for the SmackDown Women's Championship at WrestleMania 39. The SmackDown Women's title is the one women's championship on WWE's main roster that the Australian has yet to hold, but it isn't the only title on her mind. While speaking to BT Sports' Ariel Helwani, Rhea talked about being compared to WWE Hall of Famer Chyna over the past few years and said she loves being compared to the legend. In fact, Ripley said that, like Chyna, she is down for competing for the Intercontinental Championship, adding that Kofi Kingston, a former Intercontinental Champion in his own right, wants to see her do it. Chyna is a 2-time Intercontinental Champion, and at this time is the only woman to have ever held the title, but do you want to see Ripley achieve this feat? Let us know in the comments.